भक्ति देवी तुलसी रानी सामवेद भक्त वृंद की कलयुग पावन तारण हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरंगा श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण। हम लोग शुरू करते हैं, अदरवाइज विल गेट डिलेड। मैं सोच रहा था आज 2 लेंगे, देखते हैं जैसे भी होगा। अध्याय 2 श्लोक क्रमांक 29। ठीक है, मेरे पीछे दोहराइए। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकीम् कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः, गोविन्दाय नमो नमः, गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। अध्याय 2 श्लोक क्रमांक 29 गीता का सार, अध्याय का शीर्षक आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेन आश्चर्यवद् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित् आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेन आश्चर्यवद् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्। हरे कृष्ण। अलग ट्यून भी लेना, हाँ लीजिए प्रभु, मेरे को एक्चुअली वो रिसाइटेशन में टाइम ओके। आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेन आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेन आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित् श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित् आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवद् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्। कोई और? हरे हरे कृष्ण। वर्ड टू वर्ड मीनिंग लेते हैं। आश्चर्यवत् आश्चर्य की तरह, पश्यति देखता है, कश्चित् कोई, एनम इस आत्मा को, आश्चर्यवत् आश्चर्य की तरह, वदति कहता है, तथा जिस प्रकार, एव निश्चय ही, च भी, अन्य दूसरा, आश्चर्यवत् आश्चर्य से, च और, एनम इस आत्मा को, अन्य दूसरा श्रुणोति सुनता है, श्रुत्वा सुनकर, अपि भी, एनम इस आत्मा को, वेद जानता है, न कभी नहीं, च तथा, एव निश्चय ही, कश्चित कोई। अनुवाद तात्पर्य वेसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद के द्वारा श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। मेरे पीछे बोलिए। कोई आत्मा को आश्चर्य से देखता है, कोई इसे आश्चर्य की तरह बताता है, और तथा कोई इसे आश्चर्य की तरह सुनता है, किंतु कोई कोई इसके विषय में सुनकर भी कुछ नहीं समझ पाते। तात्पर्य पढ़िए प्रभु।
तात्पर्य, क्योंकि गीतोपनिषद उपनिषदों का सिद्धांत पर आधारित है, अतः कठोपनिषद में इस श्लोक का होना कोई आश्चर्यजनक नहीं है। विशाल पशु, विशाल वृक्ष तथा एवं इंच स्थान में लाखों करोड़ों की संख्या में उपस्थित कीटाणु, सूक्ष्म कीटाणुओं के भीतर अणु आत्मा की उपस्थिति निश्चित रूप से आश्चर्यजनक है। अल्पज्ञ तथा दुराचारी व्यक्ति अणु आत्मा के स्फुल्लिंग के चमत्कारों को समझ नहीं पाता। भले ही उसे बड़े से बड़ा ज्ञानी, जिसके विश्व के प्रथम प्राणी ब्रह्मा को भी शिक्षा दी हो, क्यों नहीं समझाए, क्यों न समझाए। वस्तुओं के स्थूल भौतिक बोध के कारण इस युग के अधिकांश व्यक्ति इसकी कल्पना नहीं कर सकते कि इतना सूक्ष्म कण इस प्रकार इतना विराट तथा इतना लघु बन सकता है। अतः लोग आत्मा को उसकी संचय रचना या उसके विवरण के आधार पर ही आश्चर्य से देखते हैं। इंद्रिय तृप्ति की बातों में फंसकर लोग भौतिक शक्ति माया से इस तरह मोहित है कि उनके पास आत्मज्ञान को समझाने का अवसर ही नहीं रहता। यद्यपि यह तथ्य है कि आत्मज्ञान के बिना सारे कार्यों का दुष्परिणाम जीवन संघर्ष में पराजय के रूप में होता है। संभवतः उन्हें उसका कोई अनुमान नहीं होता कि मनुष्य को आत्मा के विषय में चिंतन करना चाहिए और दुखों का हल खोज निकालना चाहिए। इस ऐसे थोड़े से लोग जो आत्मा के विषय में सुनने के इच्छुक है, अच्छी संगति पाकर भाषण सुनते हैं, किंतु कभी कभी अज्ञानवश में परमात्मा तथा अणु आत्मा को एक ही समझ बैठते हैं। ऐसा व्यक्ति खोज पाना कठिन है तो परमात्मा अणु आत्मा उनके पृथक पृथक कार्यों को तथा संबंधों एवं अन्य विस्तारों को सही ढंग से समझ सके। इससे अधिक कठिन है कि ऐसा व्यक्ति खोज पाना जिसने आत्मा के ज्ञान से पूरा लाभ उठाया हो और जो सभी पक्षों से आत्मा की स्थिति का सही निर्धार कर सके। किंतु यदि कोई इस तरह से आत्मा के विषय को समझ लेता है तो उसका जीवन सफल होता है। इस आत्मज्ञान को समझने का सरल उपाय है कि अन्य मतों से विचलित हुए बिना परम प्रमाण भगवान कृष्ण द्वारा कथित भगवत गीता को उपदेश को ग्रहण कर लिया जाए। किंतु इसके लिए भी जन्म में या पिछले जन्मों में प्रचुर तपस्या की आवश्यकता होती है, तभी कृष्ण को भगवान के रूप में स्वीकार किया जा सकता है। पर कृष्ण को इस रूप में जानना शुद्ध भक्तों की अहित की कृपा से ही होता है, अन्य किसी भी उपाय से नहीं।
हरिओम। 30th लेना है या फिर बाद में देखते हैं, समय के हिसाब से ले लेंगे। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सगणा ललितां श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। तो अध्याय 2 श्लोक क्रमांक 28 सांख्य योग का हम विश्लेषण ऑलमोस्ट कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं। अगले श्लोक में भगवान सिर्फ 1-2 उपाय बता के उसको खत्म करेंगे। तो पिछले श्लोक में हमने क्या चर्चा की थी? 28 या in the middle. Yes. So if you consider a human birth, then before birth it will be unmanifested, and between birth to death is the manifestation stage, and after that it is again unmanifested. Creation, similarly, everything gets created from unmanifested state to manifested. So what else? और भी कुछ सुखा था हमने? Skyscraper. That's what was the creation, where Srila Prabhupada had written that Sukshma say, like how even if you consider everything as a chain of reaction, everything, like the changes from one state to other state, still you have to understand that, that was unmanifested before, and from that unmanifested stage comes the different material elements, one after the other, after the cyclic involvement, and then the entire earth is formed, and within that earth so many minerals are there, and from that so many skyscrapers come in, right? So that skyscraper was the World Trade Center which Srila Prabhupada was referring to. When he had been there, actually he said this. So human beings create so huge skyscraper, and when it dismantles, it will again go back, it will again go into the unmanifested stage. So that's why sometimes, after that, this thing say what Prabhupada knew about this when he said, when he was visiting that, along with his disciple at the. And what else? Any other point?
Case of plant, how?
In case of? Yeah. In case of seeds, yes. In case of plants, similarly, where within the seed there is the entire tree which is there, but it in the unmanifested stage, the moment you water it and then into the soil, and then the manifestation of the tree comes in, and then again after the life is over, or say when the fodder is over, when the grains are cut, then automatically it is again destroyed, either fed to the animals or burnt or whatever, left it to the drying state. Yes. Apart from that, one more thing we discussed, I think so. Creation, yeah, of course, that 24 elements from one from the other which comes in, one forms the, but when we were discussing, so unmanifestation and manifestations. So we said, like whatever we remember, we cannot say that, we cannot say that, whatever of this Janma we are having, we may not remember in the next Janma, right? Hare Krishna. We may not be able to remember this in the next Janma, right? But we make plans of 7 Janmas. So we cannot say, only if it is possible, only with the help of the mercy of the Lord. And we took some exceptions. What were the exceptions? Dasharath Maharaj and Pandu. Because Pandu also came, and also Dasharath Maharaj also came and met his son after in the body of the means in a body which was not in his previous. He came into in his new body, remembering the old body's situations, right? क्योंकि युद्ध के बाद में जब राम और ये लक्ष्मण विजयी होते हैं, तब उनको आके वो गले लगाते हैं और बोलते हैं, मुझे जितना सुख तुम्हारे पिता बनने में मिला था वो मुझे स्वर्ग लोक में भी नहीं प्राप्त हो रहा. तो वी हैव एक्सेप्शंस. सो दैट इज द रीजन वी से इफ वी आर वर्शिपिंग कृष्णा and if our entire family is worshipping Krishna, then we will all go to Krishna Loka. There we can have 7 janmas, what n number of janmas you can be together. Okay, so that's the reason when you say na first अपना करो, अभी आ जाएगा वो खैर आ जाएगा. हरे कृष्णा. और कुछ याद है?
तो एक जब वो मतलब उधर ही मिलन हो गया कृष्णा के साथ, फिर दूसरा जन्म
नहीं आता
है ना,
नहीं होता है.
फिर हम क्यों आप बोल रहे हैं फिर 7 जन्म तक आप आएगा?
ना ना, अब फिर जन्म जन्मांत तक आप वहां रह सकते हो ना उनके साथ. मेरा पॉइंट वो है या आप जन्म जन्मांत तक आप वहीं पे रह सकते हो. हरे कृष्ण. सो या फिर आप देवी लोग जाना चाहते हो तो आप पति पत्नी देवी लोग जाओगे, वहां पे रहोगे साथ में, फिर वापस आओगे. आप ब्रह्म लोग जाना चाहते हो ब्रह्म लोग जाओगे ना. यान्ति देव व्रता देवन, भगवद गीता कहती है, ऑप्शन खुला है, डोंट वरी. ठीक है. सो विल कम टू टुडे श्लोका. ओके, हुआ क्या था इन बिटवीन में, बहुत दिनों बाद में लंबा श्लोक आया, विच वी टेक अप दैट आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेन. वो रिसाइटेशन में ओल्ड ट्यून में once we started off, sometimes it just happens. So āścarya-vat paśyati kaśyidena āścarya-vat vadati tathaiva cānyaḥ āścarya-vaccena manya śṛṇoti śrutvāpy enam vedana caiva kaścid. So कोई इस आत्मा को आश्चर्य से देखता है, कोई इसे आश्चर्य की तरह बताता है तथा कोई इसे आश्चर्य की तरह सुनाता है, किंतु कोई इसके विषय में सुनकर भी कुछ नहीं समझ पाते. So again, this is again summarized as, this is an amazing verse. This is again called as amazing verse because and what is the amazing factor is जीवात्मा सबसे बड़ा आश्चर्य है. The Jivatma is the biggest amazing thing. Krishna not only speaks here about this amazing aspect of the Jivatma, but he also touch bases upon one important aspect. He discusses upon the amazing aspects of the Jivatma, its eternity, its knowledge, its importance, but also shed some light on one important aspect, which is the need of a Guru Shishya Parampara. The need of a Guru Shishya Parampara to best understand this as a subject matter. कोई सुनाता है, कोई सुनता है, तो ये कृष्णा इनडायरेक्टली ये बता रहे हैं कि भाई लेकिन ये परंपरा में, और वे खुद अर्जुन को इसी रूप में बता रहे हैं. He is also explaining the same thing to Arjuna in that parampara. So amazing soul, the idea that is no distinct soul is merely, sometimes we say, Prabhupada says, is merely a creation of some philosophers whose minds are bewildered by the imperceptible and amazing soul. And that is the reason he's speaking out, Krishna, today, this 4 lessons in kind of, to take us home. āścarya-vat paśyati kaśyidena means someone look on the soul as amazing, and āścarya-vat tathaiva cānyaḥ, some describe him as amazing. And āścarya-vaccena manya śṛṇoti, some hear him as amazing, and śrutvāpy vedana caiva kaścit, others even after hearing about it cannot understand him at all. So that is the reason, everything is being spoken about amazing. And that's the reason ये भगवद गीता का amazing verse है. So we'll take one by one and understand what does Krishna wants to say. āścarya-vat paśyati kaśyidena, the first part, when we take, what is the lesson for that? That, some look at the soul as amazing. Enam, āścarya-vat paśyati kaśyidena. Enam is the soul here. Jivatma, जिसको हम कहते हैं. Okay, the Jivatma. So enam is the soul, and Krishna is speaking on looking at the soul. Again, right? āścarya-vat paśyati kaśyidena. Someone look at the soul as amazing. We discussed this, right? Looking at the soul, is it possible? No, but we gave example. It is possible. We discussed this, right? What was it? Yogis can, what was that shloka? 15.10. Utkramanta sthitam vapi bunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananu paśyanti jnana chakshusha. With the help of jnana chakshusha, one can see the soul. Yeah. So again, today is again speaking, Krishna is again speaking, āścarya-vat paśyati kaśyidena. When we can say that soul is not to be seen, it cannot be seen, It is 1/10,000 of the tip of the head. The size is so small. So how can you see the soul? So Krishna is again saying, some look at the soul as amazing factor. So look at the soul means what? With the knowledge of the Shastras, right? With the knowledge of Jnana Chakshusha, not our Chakshusha. Our Chakshusha are defective. Our Chakshusha are defective. We cannot see all the things which are minute. But Jnana Chakshusha, that is the scriptures which gives us the Jnana through which we can see. So the foolish cannot understand that. That is what is written in that 15.10. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see this. But whose eyes are trained in knowledge. So trained कौन करता है? Guru करता है ना. Guru अपने शिष्य को train करता है. Guru trains his disciples. That is what Arjuna is right now, surrendered soul, and Krishna is giving instructions as a guru. So, paśyati jnana chakshusha. So, with the eyes of knowledge which the guru is giving, with that only we will be able to see a soul or a living entity, right? Even in 9.5, Krishna says, paśyame yoga maishwaram. Paśyame yoga maishwaram. Paśyame yoga maishwaram. What does it mean? Look at my yoga and aishwarya. Look at my yoga and aishwarya. That is what is the meaning. 9.5 में आप लोग खोल के देख सकते हो. 9.5 में पश्चिमे योगम ऐश्वरम. So, although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although that I am everywhere, I am still not the part of this cosmic manifestation. Krishna says in 9.5, I am not part of this entire cosmic manifestation, though everything has come from me. For myself is the very source of creation. Krishna says that I am the source of that all creation. Everything has come as a manifestation from me. So look to that yoga and look at that Aishwarya through me. Paśyame yoga Aishwaryam. So see that Aishwarya in me. That's the reason it becomes more important that, such the knowledge of the soul is more and more can be realized only by the help of Jnana Chakshusha. So without knowledge, one cannot understand how a Jivatma exists, the body, exit in the body, lives in this body, exits the body, and all those. So that's the reason Kuru Shishya Parampara. That is the reason I was saying, Krishna, apart from giving the characteristics, he is also touching base upon the important factor, which is the Guru Shishya Parampara. So authorized source of knowledge, we call it. As in that, this thing already we read, right? Before also. It was read in where? And 25, I think so, 25th shloka, I think so we read, right? There we said, Srila Prabhupada went ahead and gave an example that if anybody wants to ask about the father, the best source is mother. So that is the reason it is, the authorized source of knowledge is absolutely necessary. So Krishna is instructing Arjuna here. That is the reason as a Guru-Shishya relationship, Krishna becomes the authorized source. And because he is instructing Arjuna, we are also getting benefited through the same words. Dogda Gopala Nandana, Parthor Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta, Dugdam Gita Amritam Mahat. Shankaracharya ने जो इसका सारांश बताया है गीता का कि ये जो means like Krishna, this entire Vedas are like a cow, and Krishna is the milkman who is milking the cow, and Arjuna as a Vatsa is drinking that milk. Dugdha Gopalanandana. So, with these two eyes, people cannot see the soul, and so that's the reason they say, looking at the soul is amazed. They cannot digest the fact that, the small invisible size spark can provide consciousness to big bodies. So, Prabhupada gives an example like Kathopanishad, right? Today, big elephants and small microbes in every entity, there is the Jivatma present. So, that's Srila Prabhupada quotes this, this shloka, why Krishna had to quote, because it is quoted also in the Upanishad. So उपनिषद का एक सार ही है जो यहाँ पे प्रस्तुत किया है वापस उपनिषद का श्लोक है. So that's the reason it has to be श्रवणायपि भूभिर यो न लभ्यः श्रवणतोपि भवो यम न विद्युः आश्चर्यवक्तो कुशलोऽस्यालब्धः आश्चर्योऽस्याज्ञात कुशलानुशासितः. So the people do not understand this atomic soul can be present even in the gigantic body of an elephant, or small microbes, or a big banyan tree, or the small plant, which small plant which also gives flowers. So millions and billions of which occupies the inch space. Certainly what happens is, people get amazed. Why? Because the reason given is men with poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of atomic spark of spirit. अब इसका मतलब ये कि men with poor fund of knowledge in the sense what? भाई men के पास बहुत सारा knowledge होगा. Men may have n number of knowledge, but that knowledge entirely is what? Is all materialistic knowledge. So men generally have we have, but less people knowing the entire spiritual knowledge. Who are we? What are we supposed to do? Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Very less people do. So that is the reason why it is explained that, the atomic soul, the spark of the spirit, when it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge also, like Brahma, still people do not want to believe it. Because Brahma is the first living creature, right? When the materials manifest, after Satoguna, when Vishnu, from the navel, Brahmaji appears with the Rajoguna mode. So he is the first living entity, and for him, Krishna gives the knowledge, Hridayantastha, but means like, it gives directly into the heart. As a Chaitya Guru, he is present in everybody. He guides us also sometimes. मेरा दिल कहता है ये ठीक नहीं है, ये ठीक रहेगा. So he guides it, but sometimes we are unable to understand because of the poor fund of knowledge. The same thing even Brahmaji has explained, but still, people, owing to this gross material conception, people always want to imagine, cannot imagine that this small particle can be so great. And that is the reason, they look at us, amazing, though it is wonderful, either by constitution or by disposition. It is. One example I'll give, like, this bulb in this hall is giving light to this hall. Okay, it may be sufficient. If the hall is 4 times of this size, will it be sufficient? No, right? We need to have some higher bulb. But being an elephant body or an ant body, now this is the big difference, right? Elephant body and ant body, and the soul is giving equal consciousness. Ant bhi chalta hai, elephant bhi chalta hai. It is giving equal consciousness. So this is, the factor. This is the amaze which it is providing. Being so tiny, invisible, so tiny that it is, invisible to this eyes. When I say invisible, invisible to this eyes, it still gives the same level of consciousness through which it can be understood even in elephants as well as ants. And secondly, the Jivatma is traveling to different yonis, right? All 84 like yonis. And, bird, fish, human being, aquatics, or whatever you name. All the jalchar, आकाश में उड़ने वाले, पृथ्वी पर चलने वाले और रेंगने वाले. Means all 4 types of creatures, the Jivatma is present. So, this small Jivatma is still capable of running the bodies of all the 84 lakh species. जब वह कीड़े के योनि में जाएगा तो उसको पता है कैसे रेंगना है ना, लाइक ये क्या बोलते हैं, कछुआ रेंगते हुए चलता है. हाँ, मछली के इसमें जाएगा तो उसको तैरना आता है, पंछी के इसमें जाएगा तो उसको उड़ना आता है. So any kind of body it attains, it knows how to drive that body, right? Krishna says that this body is a machine, right? Yantra rudani maya. 18th chapter he says, right? This body is like a machine. And this Jivatma is very well able to run that machine. But as we human beings, if we have to run a car, or if we have to run a ship, or if we have to run an aeroplane, we'll have to take separate special trainings, right? Just knowing the car will not be able to drive the aeroplane, right? But whereas this Jivatma going into any body is able to drive that body. So that's the reason people go to Ajanta caves, Ellora caves, Taj Mahal and say that is the āścarya, that is the amazing, 7 amazing wonders of the world, they say, no, right? So, 7 āścarya. But we have to understand, Bhagavad Gita doesn't say these all as āścarya. Bhagavad Gita says āścarya is what? The topic? Soul. Jivatma. So, ठीक है, वो भौतिक जगत के लिए भौतिक लोगों ने बनाया दी. Material people have made some material monuments and that's the reason it may be āścarya. Okay, that engineering could be an āścarya. But scriptures say what is real āścarya? Real āścarya is the soul. The factor that, the fact that you are separate from the body, that is amazing. That the wow factor that you are the soul and not the body, that is amazing. And that is why it is said, that right knowledge is required in the Guru Shishya Parampara, through which we can obtain the knowledge and see the soul. Okay, so someone see the soul as amazing. Next is āścarya-vadati tat tathaiva cānyaḥ, āścarya-vat vadati tathaiva cānyaḥ. Some describe him as amazing. Now word is coming āścarya-vat vadati tathaiva. Tathaiva meaning? Tathaiva kya arth hota hai? Tatha plus eva. When you break it, it is tatha plus eva. Tatha is definitely, right? Nishchit रूप से, हाँ? और नहीं, तथा means उसी प्रकार. And eva means nishchit, eva, certainly. And tatha is similar, means like just like that. So, उसी प्रकार निश्चित रूप से. उसी प्रकार निश्चित रूप से. किस प्रकार? जिस प्रकार सुना है ना? जिस प्रकार गुरु से समझा है, उसी प्रकार समझाने का है ना? डिस्क्राइब करना है. हम कुछ अपने मन से थोड़ी ऐड करते हैं. श्रीला प्रभुपाद ने बहुत कुछ लिख दिया है. हम तो वही उन्हीं का पढ़ के आपको समझा रहे हैं. हम अपने मन से कुछ भी नहीं बता रहे हैं. तो कभी कभी लगता है नहीं, मेरा मत नहीं है, खुद शास्त्रों का मत है जो प्रस्तुत किया गया है. तो कोई विरला ही ऐसा मिलेगा. मीन्स लाइक वेरी लिमिटेड विल फाइंड दैट means who will take this disciplic succession, understand the soul as it is and describe about that soul as it is to somebody. Describe about that soul to somebody else that as it is. So you find very less jivatmas, right? Even in Bhagavad Gita it will come, Bahu naam janma naam ante ज्ञानवान माम प्रबंधिते. बहुत बहुत जन्मों के बाद में कोई ज्ञानवान ही मुझको समझ सकता है. तो कई कई दिनों बाद में ऐसा होता है कि उसी तरह जिस तरह से समझा है, how did we understand the jivatma, we describe it in a similar way, not changing the content. Okay, sometimes what happens, like we have to see far. Okay, to that level 6 feet, wherever we can see, we can see. Beyond that, sometimes, we will not be able to see. So what do? We ask some child to sit on the head or stand on the shoulder and see whether you are able to see anything or not. So this child standing on the Guru's shoulder is nothing but the Shishya. तो शिष्य को जब अपने गुरु को और कोई धागे दिखता है तो और ज्यादा दूरदृष्टि होती है, परंतु तत्व नहीं चेंज होता है जो गुरु जानता है. तो उस प्रकार Srila Prabhupada एक एग्जाम्पल है for this. Srila Prabhupada himself is the example. So he spoke on this topic of Atma n number of times. Whenever people wanted to require discussion on Atma, he used to be very well ready. Like, Science of Self-Realization we are reading on daily basis in the Zoom, where Srila Prabhupada is describing about that only. The soul and the super soul, right? The relationship. So, why did Srila Prabhupada do this? He was very much eager to talk on this topic because he wanted to elevate the spiritual consciousness among the people. Soul is a spiritual subject and Atma means and body is a material subject. Prabhupada wanted everybody to come onto this spiritual subject. And of course, many of the gurus went to USA, right? Before Srila Prabhupada, many gurus went to USA. But the success which Srila Prabhupada got, others did not get. So he succeeded rather. Like, I should not say others not succeeded. Others may have also been succeeded, but Srila Prabhupada succeeded in his this thing, in spreading Krishna consciousness. That was amazing. So he described as it is the knowledge, and that was amazing. That is the reason he say, Acharya, he exactly demonstrates the way, the Guru instructions, the way, I mean, so he was an Acharya, so he exactly demonstrated his Guru's instruction and his Guru's instruction. So that's why Srila Prabhupada is also a right example for this one who describes the soul as amazing. And Srila Prabhupada says that, the soul has ananta āścaryas. The Krishna has ananta āścaryas in his kitty, right? So many amazing things. Krishna has done so many amazing leelas. We cannot think of it, right? We have heard quite a few during Janmashtami. Coming Janmashtami also we'll hear the new leelas. So people, so Krishna is having that ananta āścaryas, many amazing factors in his kitty. But if one realizes his ansh, which is his separated part and parcel, which is the jivatma, a little bit, that itself will be more than enough. Then only he will be able to understand the āścarya of Krishna. If he is not understanding the ansh also, then the Purna is very, very far for him. Purna is very, very far for him, right? One has to first understand the, वो करते क्या है जब कुछ टेस्ट कर ऑडिट के अंदर प्रोसीजर करना क्या है when they have to formulate an opinion, what do? They take some test samples, right? And within that they test, okay, this principles falls through, so these all accounts are fine. Auditor does not see the entire 100% books, right? So Krishna is having n number of āścaryas. From that āścaryas, this ansha matra, this jivatma, if one can analyze, one can understand, one can see spiritually, with the help of Guru Shishya relation, they can realize, then that itself is amazing. That itself is amazing. आत्मा की खोज यदि कोई साइंटिस्ट करता है तो ये बहुत बड़ी एक उन्नति होगी, बहुत बड़ी उन्नति होगी. परंतु केवल वह उन्नति विज्ञान में केवल ढूंढने मात्र से भी कभी कभी प्राप्त होना मुश्किल है. Means English, the science of soul research is no doubt a subject of advancement. Scientists are here sitting with us today also. Okay, but by mere advancement, one may not be able to realize the souls, and they will end up only in much material, much क्या बोलते हैं उसको, much bodily comforts. They end up with producing much bodily comforts. अगर सोल की पहचान साइंटिस्ट कर लेता है, and Srila Prabhupada says, when you read Science of Self-Realization, there he says, so many scientists also, he writes letters that you understand, this is this, with the help of this, if you can progress, it is very well. If the science establishes this, it's very nice. But it's so difficult. But whatever method the moment you understand there is an existence of soul, if the scientist proves tomorrow, and of course they are proving, today's you have sent one a multi-universe video also. I was listening when I was doing the Puris. So nice one. So if one able to understand this soul, existence of soul, then the same very moment he will also understand who is the super soul. What is soul? Soul is part and parcel of the super soul, right? So super soul is who? God, Paramatma. And once you realize God, you will be able to understand his greatness, his magnanimity, and then you will see in front of him we are so minuscule and he is so huge, right? We are so minuscule. Infinitesimal word Srila Prabhupada uses, infinitesimal. So you will realize he is a Vibhu, super soul, supreme Atma, and we are just Anu, the atomic soul. So the day science succeeds in this, that will be a great achievement, and that will be also be amazing too, because if they take the help of this Vedas and if they are able to establish this, that will also be amazing factor, right? उन्होंने भी वही describe किया जो amazing factor बताया हुआ है ना. So that is what is you mean by amazing. So that lesson we get. So that these are all things for us only. āścarya-vat cainam śṛṇoti, तीसरा लाइन. ठीक है, ये दो आश्चर्य समझ गए ना. एक तो आश्चर्य से देखते हैं और आश्चर्य से कहते हैं, दूसरों को डिस्क्राइब करते हैं. The third one is āścarya-vachaina manya śṛṇoti. śṛṇoti means hearing, right? So someone hear him as amazing. So who will hear as him as amazing? Disciples, right? That is what we are going to say. When we hear only, we will be able to say, right? How the children start speaking. They listen, they see their mother speaking, their father speaking, their lips movement. They try to see, and then they try to replicate, right? So this is where exactly this amazing thing, when you hear about the soul, amazing nature, from whom? It will be from the Guru. Okay. And then you will be able to present the amazing aspects which we spoke before, right? So if you are able to hear from the Guru amazing things about the soul, then only you will be able to present it as it is. That is why this Guru Shishya Parampara, listening and saying. इसलिए हम जब कीर्तन करते हैं तो why do I say and you listen and you say and I listen? This is what is the process. Hearing and speaking, right? So sunna, shravanam, kirtanam, जिसको हम कहते हैं. So once Srila Prabhupada disciple said, Srila Prabhupada, we have understood what is soul and what is super soul, what is Atma, Paramatma, we have understood everything. Now please tell us on the new topics. Out of inquisitiveness, because we are also completing this soul, Atma and Paramatma. So Srila Prabhupada's disciple once asked, so Srila Prabhupada said, we have understood the soul and the super soul concept. Then Srila Prabhupada said, you did not understand anything. You did not understand anything. Why? Because if you would have understood that the soul is so amazing, then you would have been happy to listen more and more. Because amazing factor को क्या होता है? Wow factor what? Wow, गुलाब जामुन खाया, tasty था, फिर खाएंगे. Wow, ताजमहल बड़ा सुंदर है, फिर देखने जाएंगे, है कि नहीं? So that wow factor, how will it get repeated? By again and again listening. Yeah, so you have not understood anything, because you say you have understood, but you have not understood anything. You read once again. Why have you written so many books? You read those books, so you will know what amazing factor is. So if it is amazing, then you should have the inquisitiveness to read more and more, to read more and more, to read more and more, to learn or to hear more and more, to hear more and more, right? Even if we are reading Srila Prabhupada books, it is equivalent to we are hearing, right? Because Srila Prabhupada is saying and we are listening.
प्रभु जी आत्मा एक्चुअली किधर रहता है? मेरा ख्याल से इधर रहता है.
तुम्हारा ख्याल से नहीं, वो ऑलरेडी हो चुका है, तुम आया नहीं क्लास में. सभी लोगों को पता है कहाँ रहता है. सभी लोगों को पता है कहाँ रहता है. कहाँ रहता है माता जी? हाँ, पर हार्ट रीजन में प्राण वायु के बीच में झूलते रहता है. जो हम प्राण लेते हैं ना, ऑक्सीजन लेते हैं ना, वो 5 टाइप की वायु से, वैसे 10 टाइप की वायुस है, 5 टाइप की वायुस के अंदर झूलते रहता है.
5 टाइप का वायु मतलब अभी तो हम जो ले रहे हैं एक टाइप,
वो एक है, वो अंदर जाके 10 में कन्वर्ट होके बाहर आता है. हाँ, उसका भी प्रोसेस आएगा आगे चल के, 6वें अध्याय में आएगा, चिंता मत करो.
इधर इधर इधर
नहीं घूम रहा है, वो खाली हार्ट में है. उसका असर घूम रहा है पूरे बॉडी में. कॉन्शियसनेस जिसको बोलते हैं, चेतना, उसके थ्रू वो घूम रहा है. वो नहीं घूमता है, वो तो एक जगह स्टेशनरी है. वो भी पढ़ा था हमने क्वालिटी, राइट, कि वो एक जगह स्टेशनरी है और वो सब जगह प्रेजेंट भी है ना. जो 9 क्वालिटी श्लोका माता जी ने लिया था वो क्लास. तो ये है śrutvāpyenam vedana caiva kaścid, the last line. Others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand about him at all. कितनी भी बार समझा दो. अच्छा, मैं पूछता हूँ कि हाउ कैन वन अंडरस्टैंड? जस्ट टेल मी, how can one understand about the soul? I'm not talking about the scriptures, all fine. Okay, that is fine, because with the you can see the soul. How can you understand the soul? What comes into picture for understanding the soul? Huh? Growth. Huh? No, you are near, but not the gross body.
energy.
No, subtle body. Chetana is okay, but Chetana is fine. It is present in the body. What is that factor which differentiates? Brain में present है वो. बुद्धि है ना. बुद्धि, right? Intelligence, right? So how one can understand? एक सिंपल सी बात है, कोई चीज पढ़ रहे हो आप, उसको कैसा समझते हो? बुद्धि से ही समझते हो ना भाई, पढ़ोगे दिमाग से, दिमाग में बुद्धि प्रेजेंट है जो डिफरेंशिएट करेगी, अच्छा ये ऐसा नहीं ऐसा बोल रहा है, ऐसे का मतलब ऐसा होता है, बुद्धि डिफरेंशिएट करेगी, राइट। और वो माइंड को एक्टिवेट करेगी, अरे भाई ये चीज है, तो गाइड करेगी। तो बुद्धि जिसके पास, so like how one can understand it is simply sheer by the intelligence in the brain, right? By the intelligence in one's brain. So what does the brain have? What does the brain contains of? Neurons, right? And what are those neurons? Concentrated nerves. When you take an MRI of the brain, what do you see? Some light, like stars की तरह, एक मोटी लाइट इधर, फिर एक मोटी लाइट इधर, राइट। ब्रेन का एमआरआई कभी आपने देखो तो आपको दिखेगा ऐसे न्यूरॉन्स जगह जगह ऐसा। ये ब्रेन के वो पर्टिकुलर सबकॉन्शियस पार्टिकल्स actually gets, because the concentration of that particular thing is more. When you think, some part of the brain activates. When you tell, some part of the brain activates. When you recollect, some part of the brain activates. So all this assimilation, the mind does, that is how, like, one forms that this is the image, this is, the tree, this is what, one finds this image, the different cells. So those neurons function actually when it is damaged, then your intelligence gets not completely damaged, because once it is completely damaged, then you will say is like, yeah, like, तो व्यक्ति पागल है, या फिर कम डैमेज है, थोड़ा हम कहते हैं, कह देंगे थोड़ा न्यूरॉन्स का जो इफेक्ट होता है कि थोड़ा व्यक्ति की बुद्धि के मंद बुद्धि हो गया या ज्यादा बुद्धि हो गई है ना, ऐसा। सो क्या, व्हाट डू यू से, जो दिमाग में जो सूक्ष्म तंतु हैं, इन इंग्लिश वी कैन कॉल इट एज न्यूरॉन्स, सो दीज एक्चुअली गेट्स डैमेज्ड। And how do they get damaged? Because of which we will not be able to understand sometimes. हर कोई बच्चा intelligent नहीं होता है, right? We discussed this fact also. We say everybody is intelligent, but he is intelligent in his place. Everybody may not be as intelligent. For that is the reason why this all, है ना, हर कोई इंटेलिजेंट नहीं रह सकता, उसका स्तर अलग अलग होता है उसका। तो ये डैमेज होता है कैसे, ये कई लोग इसमें भी, बट दिस नर्वस सिस्टम्स ऐसे डैमेज इन द सेंस जिसमें जो आता है, शिला प्रभुपाद से इट इज ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ द 4 रेगुलेटरी प्रिंसिपल्स। पीपल मे नॉट एग्री, people may not agree, yes, people may not agree, but I'm telling it is because of the 4 regulatory principles. I will just say, so dharma के जो चार स्तंभ होते हैं, you all understand, right? The religion is, the dharma is standing on the 4 pillars of dharma. The dharma is standing on the 4 pillars. धर्म के 4 पिलरों पे ये सारा एक खड़ा है, ओके, प्रिंसिपल्स। सो जो 4 खंबे हैं वो क्या है, व्हाट आर दोस पिलर्स? सत्यम, शौचम, दया, शुद्धता, हाँ, ऑस्टेरिटी, तपा, हाँ, tapa, yes. So mercy, austerity, cleanliness, and truthfulness. On this 4 pillars, the dharma is standing. So जब ये स्तंभ डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाते हैं तो व्यक्ति अधर्म में इन्वॉल्व हो जाता है। Like when the pillars, these 4 pillars start destroying, the dharma, the religion turns into irreligion concept. So that is the reason, like, when people are following dharma, they become dharmic, and people who are not following that 4 principles, I mean, they become adharmic, right? So meat eating destroys mercy factor. So if you are eating meat, that means you are cutting the animal. So you do not have mercy. Because if you are having mercy, you will not be able to cut the jivatma, right? So उसका body को ऐसा कट नहीं करोगे. So meat eating destroys the pillar of mercy. Intoxication destroys austerity. You cannot be austere when you are intoxicated. And illicit sex destroys the saucham. You cannot be clean if you are having n number of relationships. And gambling destroys truthfulness. क्योंकि जब गैम्बलिंग करना है तो झूठ बोलना ही पड़ेगा ना, सच तो बोल ही नहीं सकता व्यक्ति, तो झूठ तो बोलना ही पड़ेगा। तो ये चारों फैक्टर्स इसीलिए भागवतम में आते हैं कि ये चारों रिप्रेजेंट द पिलर्स ऑफ धर्मा। एंड कलयुग में तीन पैर कट चुके हैं, एक ही पैर जो कि सत्यता के ऊपर ये कलयुग विराजमान है। सतयुग में चारों पिलर थे, सतयुग एंड होते होते 3 पिलर रह गए, 3 pillars to 2 pillars in Dwapara, and from Dwapar to Kalyuga only 1 pillar. So soul is a spiritual thing and body is material thing. So our focus shifts from soul to the bodily level if we are becoming adharmic. Because why are you intoxicating? आनंद मिल रहा है, कुछ पता नहीं, जो भी मिलता होगा. You are for their bodily factors, है ना. हमारे फायदे के लिए झूठ बोल दिया, we said lies. हमारे फायदे के लिए हमने किसी को भी धोखा दे दिया, मेरे पता नहीं चलेगा, मैं n नंबर ऑफ व्यक्तियों के साथ में रिलेशनशिप रखता हूँ, किसी को पता नहीं चलेगा. हाँ, व्यक्ति अपने आप को ही धोखा देता है. सो दीज ऑल कैटेगरीज इसमें अधार्मिक की कैटेगरी में आते हैं, है ना. these are the 4 regulatory principles. That's why Srila Prabhupada was very strict that one should follow this. अब हम ये नहीं कहते कि तुम लोग ये फॉलो नहीं करते हो इसका मतलब तुम पूर्ण अधार्मिक हो. We don't say, but Shastras, when they give the differentiation, they give it very upfrontly, right? Whether we follow or we don't follow, that is up to us. But Shastras very clearly, upfrontly, they will give you their decision, right? Best example, I have taken this example also before this. So you have a mother, you have a wife, and you have a daughter. Can you look at with the same eyes to all the 3? पत्नी को, माता को और बच्ची को उसी नजर से आप देख सकते हो क्या? Who is stopping you? Dharma. If dharma is not there, then that person is equivalent to animal. He will not differentiate between mother, daughter. An animalistic approach, what we call. Animals, may they give birthright to the children. The children also grows up. After that, they separate. But again, they can meet also. So if human beings, the dharma is stopping them. And if people become adharmic, then they compromise on this and go back to the animalistic propensities. And that is the reason we become more and more body conscious. More and more body conscious. But we have to be spiritual conscious. āścarya is the spirit soul. And we have to become spiritual consciousness. So that's why this 4 regulatory principles actually destroys the intelligence in the brain, they say, so that, n number of times you tell them about the soul, because they are accustomed to this material needs, they don't even want to think about the soul. Quite doubt. That is the theory. Now, even if you doubt also, that is the fact actually. But then I have given you an example also. That
मतलब कुछ और चला गया मैं तो मतलब इसमें तो जो मुझे समझ आया श्लोक का चला बोल रहा हूँ ना एट द एंड डजंट अंडरस्टैंड वही बात ना. अगर हम ये कहें कि
तो इसलिए
अगर हम ये कहें कि अंडरस्टैंड नहीं कर सकते तो फिर हम डिस्कशन क्यों कर रहे हैं?
ना, इसलिए श्रीला प्रभुपाद लिख रहे हैं, ऐसे थोड़े से लोग जो आत्मा के विषय में सुनने के इच्छुक है, अच्छी संगति पाकर भाषण सुनते हैं, किंतु कभी कभी अज्ञानतावश वे परमात्मा तथा अणु आत्मा को एक समझ बैठते हैं. जब प्रभु पढ़ रहे थे ना, तब मैं इसी बात के लिए जोर दे रहा था. हाँ, तो ऐसा व्यक्ति खोज पाना बहुत कठिन है जो परमात्मा और अणु आत्मा को पृथक पृथक कार्यों से तथा संबंधों से, अन्य विस्तारों से सही ढंग से समझ सके. So, we have very less people who will differentiate between this Atma and Paramatma. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam. हाँ, नहीं. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaścid yatati siddhaye. Yeah, I was not recollecting that shloka. So, Krishna himself will say, out of so many, one would come to Krishna consciousness. सो बहुत कम लोग हैं इसको जो समझ सकते हैं। अब हम लोग सब समझने वाले हैं, आप ये मत समझो हम लोग नहीं नहीं ठीक है, मैं आपको भी आता हूँ। हाँ
मुझे सवाल लोग समझ आया, वो ये कहना, जो मुझे समझ आया,
हाँ
क्रिश्चियन ये कह रहे हैं, क्रिश्चियन ये समझा रहे हैं कि आत्मा को समझ नहीं सकते, आत्मा को बोल नहीं सकते, आत्मा को हम सुन भी नहीं सकते, और आत्मा को सुन के समझ के भी हम एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर सकते। यानी कि ये आपके सेंसेस जो हमारे हैं ना, 5 सेंसेस है, उससे ऊंची चीज है।
यस यस एग्जैक्टली, उस पे भी आ रहा हूँ मैं।
नहीं कि हमारी बुद्धि बुद्धि मैं भी समझ रही, चलो मुझे समझ आया तो वही कि
एग्जैक्टली
आपके सेंसेस जो 5 सेंसेस है, जैसे आप मटेरियलिस्टिक वर्ल्ड को समझ रहे हैं,
या
वो उससे कंफाइंड नहीं है।
यस
ये समझ के भी समझ नहीं सकते।
यस
लेकिन अगर आप अभी जस्ट आज सुबह ही मैं पढ़ रहा था, वो कठोपनिषद का श्लोक है, उसमें एग्जैक्टली यही बोला गया। वो जो एक शिष्य आता है उनके पास,
हाँ
वो कहता है कि वो कौन सी चीज है जिसको एयर सुन के भी सुन रहा है। नहीं, वो कौन सी एक है चीज है, मतलब उसका नाम चीज नहीं बोला, बट वो कौन सी है मैकेनिज्म, या कौन सी चीज है जिसको एयर सुन के भी सुन रहा है, बोल के भी बोल रहा है, समझ के भी समझ रहा है। तो अब उसका जवाब सुनिए, उनका जवाब क्या है? एयर टू एयर। वो चीज क्या? एयर टू एयर, माइंड टू माइंड, हेयर टू हेयर। आप बोले ये क्या चीज हुई? ये तो कोई जवाब नहीं हुआ। कह रहा अगर वो ये कह देता कि
ये अगला
आत्मा
श्लोक में
है,
लूंगा ना, अगले श्लोक में ये
तो
पॉइंट
मैं
क्लियर
वो
हो
बताना
जाएगा।
चाह रहा हूँ, इसका ताल्लुक इसका ताल्लुक
यस यस एग्जैक्टली,
इनके
मैंने
साथ
बोला
नहीं है,
दोनों
वो
दोनों टॉपिक्स अलग अलग है।
वही समझ रहे हैं।
स्पिरिचुअल और मटेरियल टॉपिक्स अलग अलग होते हैं, दोनों को समझने का तरीका अलग होता है, इसीलिए मैं समझा रहा हूँ मटेरियल एस्पेक्ट से भी।
यहाँ श्री कृष्ण सारा स्पिरिचुअली बात कर रहे हैं, मटेरियलिस्ट तो मेरे ख्याल से बात ही नहीं कर रहे अभी तक तो हम।
क्या?
श्री
हाँ
कृष्ण
हाँ
तो स्पेशली बात कर रहे हैं।
ये एग्जैक्टली इसलिए इसलिए मैं बता रहा हूँ। सो अनलेस वी डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन मटेरियल एंड बॉडी, विल नॉट बी एबल टू सी। अब वो सूक्ष्म तंतुएं क्यों डिस्ट्रॉय होती है, इसका रीजन ये दिया हुआ है।
ठीक है, वो आप
तो कभी उसके ऊपर
तो जरूरी नहीं है कि हम इतने साइंटिस्ट इतने दुनिया में देख रहे हैं जिनके बाद ये सब चीजें करते हैं, लेकिन वो उनकी बुद्धि।
चलो, तो इसीलिए शिला प्रभुपाद is touching base on this important point. Many people just listen about the soul but do not understand. Seeing, some seeing, others listening, but they have no intention to understand. They just hear from this ear and this ear and leave it out from this ear. तो exactly वो जो कहावत बनी है ना, भैंस के आगे बीन बजाना, ये कहावत उनके लिए सूट होती है कि वे वो सुन के भी समझना नहीं चाहते, और वो ऐसे कैटेगरी के लिए। अब जैसे कोई चावल का थैला है, ओके, तो चावल का थैला है, आपको यदि उसकी क्वालिटी चेक करना है, आज के डेट में तो खैर पैक्ड रहता है, हम कर नहीं सकते। पुराने जमाने में जब आप कोई चावल खरीदने जाते थे, थैला खरीदने जाते थे, तो आपको पता होगा एक एक चम्मच होता है वो उसका नुकीला, and we just put into the rice bag and remove 1 spoon of rice, and then the quality is seen, and then that rice bag is taken, right, with the help of that sample. So Krishna is like that sack of rice with having ananta āścarya in him, ananta āścarya in him. But to understand Krishna's āścarya, even if we understand the small quantity of rice, then we can be able to correlate the same quality to the rice. So इसीलिए इस जो सोल जो सब्जेक्ट है, जो ये आश्चर्य की चीज है, जिसको समझना व्यक्ति को, वो जो है ये है, क्या बोलते हैं, आश्चर्य। मतलब ये इस चीज को समझ लेते हैं तो फिर कृष्ण के आश्चर्य को, इसलिए ना कृष्ण खान है, और हम उस खान में से एक दाने का भी अगर क्वालिटी समझ लेते हैं तो फिर इसीलिए बोलते ना, अग्निपुंज के समान कृष्ण है और अग्नि के स्पार्क की तरह हम लोग हैं। सो वी आर लाइक दोज स्पार्क्स एंड नॉट द एंटायर फायर पिट इटसेल्फ. So that's the reason he concludes, Srila Prabhupada, that the easiest process is to understand the subject matter of cell is to accept the authority of Bhagavad Gita. He's written that, right? To accept the authority of Bhagavad Gita spoken by the greatest authority, none other than Krishna.
तो ये कह रहे हैं समझ भी नहीं पाएंगे, फिर भी नहीं समझ पाएंगे।
हाँ, तो वही
फिर भी
नहीं नहीं उसका समझ भी नहीं पाएंगे, नहीं, इसलिए तो उसको यही तो कॉन्शियसनेस, आपको कॉन्शियसनेस ही रेज करना है लेवल। आपको सोल है उसका प्रेजेंस लेके सोल लेवल के कॉन्शियसनेस पे पहुंचना है। आप उस सोल लेवल के कॉन्शियसनेस के पहुंचने के लिए हमारी ये सारी तंतुएं हैं।
We go to doctor. Doctor, for example, sorry, I'm not very well versed with Hindi. I'll try to speak in English.
You go to doctor and then just we try to understand if there is an element in it, right? For example, cold, cough, etc. So doctor says, okay, don't do these things while you have cold and cough. We understand, but we still get cold, cough, because we do repeat it actually. So because
That's all.
though we understand it, we don't understand it. Do you understand? Right?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, दही नहीं खाने का फिर भी खा लेते हैं.
So this is actually the same thing. So yes, we heard from the masters that just this is about the soul. Yes, we understand, we listen, but just we don't understand.
इसीलिए
Exactly. This is what I'm pointing out to you.
So, but that doesn't mean that just we don't want to.
No, I'm not saying we don't have to listen. I'm just telling you this
Yeah,
point. This is what
exactly.
you understand. Just your buddhi understand this thing only.
Yeah, that is where.
You-
So why that buddhi doesn't understand?
Intensity of this one.
Yes.
Then you really
I
understand.
think
So why that buddhi doesn't understand comes out is because of this factor.
I think
Okay, this is
Understood?
that might be agree,
Ah,
but this
okay.
this point,
I think this is
No, I know that's what I said. Many of them may not agree, but that is the point. So
the Prabhupada always insisting us to follow the four regulatory.
yeah, that's the whole thing.
And just get in with the sadhu sangha, so there will be a day that just we understand it. So that's the whole.
no, same. Like I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying that Prabhupada give this four qualification. Shankaracharya gives different fourfold qualifications. Definitely Ramanuja will give some different answer. So everybody have different fourfold qualifications.
Hmm.
That's what I'm just telling. Not only this, if I'm telling you Shankaracharya fourfold qualification, might you will not disagree. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. This is not only this. The word only will come. Then is the problem. That you say only
No.
this is the problem. No.
No.
If you
See,
see Shankaracharya
this-
fourfold qualification, you will say Shankara will say if you will not do
Prabhu,
fourfold
Prabhu,
qualification, then
Prabhu.
your buddhi will.
Prabhu,
This word, only the word. I'm saying.
in Kali Yuga, these are the four places. And that is also given by Srimad Bhagavatam. कली को जब आना था तो इन चार जगहों में कलियुग को स्थान मिला था. भागवतम के श्लोक पे आएंगे ना. हाँ,
गोल्ड में भी है ना, गोल्ड
वो तो पांचवा है प्रभु. वो तो नहीं होने पे गोल्ड मिला था कि गोल्ड आएगा तो ऑटोमेटिक ये चार आ ही जाएगी. तो इन्हीं चार चीजों में इसीलिए कली को फिर बोला. कली ने जब देखा कि कलयुग आ रहा है तो परीक्षित महाराज ने उसको जगह दी थी. कैसे जगह दी थी? ये चार जगहों में. At these four places. So at these four places, then the Kali said, these four places does not exist in your kingdom. How do I stay? Then he said, okay, stay in gold. And with the help of gold, all this will automatically come. व्यक्ति के पास एक्सेसिव गोल्ड आ जाएगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली चारों चीजें आ ही जाएगी. व्यसन करना, है ना, जुआ खेलना, नशा करना, ये सब चीजें आ ही जाएगी. So this is why actually penance and austerity, that is why it is a tapasya. त्याग और तपस्या इसीलिए बताया गया है. One has to learn this त्याग and tapasya. And that can be learnt only with the help of a causeless mercy of a pure devotee. Bhaktya maham api janati. Right? So pure devotee is nothing but the guru who, with the help of his this thing, with instructions, we can understand what a soul is and what a body is. So soul is an āścarya thing. You cannot see it, but you try to see it with the help of shastras. You cannot describe him, but you can listen and describe. And you can listen to him through the authorized sources. Then you can understand. And there are some category of people who will never understand. So Srila Krishna has not said that, there are certain categories of people, they will never understand because of their buddhi. Last वाला लाइन क्या है?
लास्ट वाला ये नहीं कहा. लास्ट वाला कहा कि समझ के भी नहीं समझ पाते. ये बोले.
हाँ, तो despite
नहीं.
हाँ, despite after
समझ के भी नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं.
हाँ,
ये नहीं
तो वही है.
डिस्करेज नहीं कर रहे क्वेश्चन किसी को कि आप नहीं समझ सकते.
नहीं समझ सकते, मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. मैं लेके
एग्जांपल बेस्ट है कि आप समझ के भी नहीं समझ पा रहे. हाँ भाई ये है, देखिए कैसे, देखिए है.
बार-बार आप वही बार-बार बोलने के बावजूद भी आप समझ नहीं पा रहे हो. ठीक है?
25 years. I think it's considered.
No, this is the example you give. This is what I'm saying. समझ के भी नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं हम लोग.
Religion without philosophy, it will become a sentiment.
Yes.
Philosophy without religion, it will become mental speculation.
Mental speculation.
So that's
Yes.
if we know many things, we may not be understand. It is very difficult. It's such a difficult process.
Agree.
I just wanted to ask you one thing. Prabhu was telling that Sankar Sampradaya.
Acharya, yeah.
I did not understand the core of it. Please explain in English. He's saying
There are 4 regulative principles in Shankar Sampradaya, which is changed, he says.
It's different. That is Shama, Dhamma, and fourfold qualification, and Murmuksha. So this is the fourfold qualification. He's saying before you coming to Gyan, you should have this fourfold qualifications.
Chamo damas tapas shaucham.
Then Vivek means know what is right, what is wrong.
Dhamma.
No, this is Vivek. Vivek, then Virag. Virag means you have some detachment from the world. Not complete detachment means that you know that world is not correct thing. We have to go with the religious thing. Then fourfold qualification. In fourfold qualification, 6 things are coming. That Shama. Shama means you have a control of mind. Dhamma means you have a control of senses. Then this Titiksha. Titiksha means that if you are going to religious path, you will face some difficulties, but you have to overcome this
6, 7, 8.
Then you have the samadhana.
Yeah, total देखो ये सारे क्वालिटीज भगवद गीता में भी आपको आएंगे आगे चल के शमो दमस तपस शौचम शांति रार्जवमेव च ज्ञानम विज्ञानम आस्तिक्यम ब्रह्म कर्म समावच
शंकराचार्य लिखा तो मैं कह रहा हूं ओनली वर्ड का मैं इसमें था कि आप कह रहे हैं सिर्फ यही फोर
नहीं प्रभु ये क्वालिटीज ब्राह्मण बनने की क्वालिटीज है जो टोटल 6 + 3 + है ना जो ब्राह्मणत्व की ओर जाने के लिए जो क्वालिटीज है धर्म की ओर ओके बट अधर्म कहाँ निवास करेगा ये 4 जगहों पे ये तो मैं 100% आपको बता सकता हूँ
for anything, pranayama. But without, as you said, without shama, dhamma, like yama, niyama, prana,
yam, niyam, asana.
That is yoga.
That is yoga. I know that. But without controlling your senses, without the restrictions, nobody can achieve anything. So if you wanted to study doctor, you are not supposed to read the law books. We cannot get the degree. So nowadays people are focusing on hatha yoga, pranayama, and everything, but they are not worried about pratyahara. They are not worried about the yama, niyama, asana, dharana. So they are not worried about that. They simply go and take the shade of
No, you will not get answer.
So,
first you have to.
No, you will not get the answer. No, Mataji is saying that they just follow that and finish. Khatam. That is not yoga. That's what Mataji is wanting to say.
We are not discussing this. I'm saying we have.
Chalo, no problem. We have some time, so we take the 30th shloka so that we can complete this chapter. 30th one? Or next time? What do you suggest?
I'm ready for that. Next time.
As you wish. So 20 minutes, sir. That will be smaller only, if I'm not wrong. But कॉलर बोलता हूँ लेकिन अगर 1:30 बज जाएगा तो फिर मुश्किल हो जाएगा हाँ ठीक है
तो मेरा एक डाउट है मतलब
क्योंकि आपका जो बोल रहे ना ये जो टॉपिक ऑफ डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट ऑन फिजिक्स का ये केमिस्ट्री का ये 30th में मेरे सो आई एम कंक्लूडिंग विद दैट आई एम टेलिंग यू मींस लाइक मैं बता रहा था तो आपको तो आज सुनना है नहीं तो फिर नेक्स्ट वीक सुनना है विल जस्ट कंप्लीट दैट
एक जो पेड़ में रहता है सोल और एक आंट में सोल रहता है तो क्या डिफरेंट
कुछ नहीं है वो पेड़ में रहेगा तो पेड़ अचल है तो वो अचल रहेगा और एंड चलता है तो चल सकता है
नहीं 2-3 डिफरेंट रहता है
नहीं रहता है
देखो सोल में मतलब पेड़ में उसका चेतना शक्ति कुछ नहीं रहता
कम रहता है
रहता है
यस रहता है कम रहता है तभी तो आप काटते हैं उसको तो उसको पेन नहीं होता है
ओके जो मतलब आंट में वो इधर से उधर जाएगा फिर मतलब खाना किधर से लेके आता है कुछ चेतना है
हाँ चेतना तो है ना चेतना तो है प्लांट्स में भी चेतना तो एनिमल्स में तो है ही है उससे हायर लेवल है ह्यूमन बीइंग में सबसे सुपीरियर लेवल है तो वही बोल रहा हूँ जिस बॉडी में जाता है वो उस बॉडी के को भी चेतना जैसी प्रोवाइड करता है उसमें उड़ना है तो उड़ना प्रोवाइड करता है चलना है चलना प्रोवाइड करता है नहीं चलना है तो नहीं चलना वैसे प्रोवाइड करता है सो आप लोगों को मेरे ख्याल से लेट हो जाएगा तो विल स्टॉप हियर 30th विल टेक अप नेक्स्ट फ्राइडे श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय किसी को और कुछ प्रश्न पूछना है तो पूछ सकते हैं बिकॉज द होल क्वेश्चन कम्स आउट एज आश्चर्य का सब्जेक्ट है ये आश्चर्य का टॉपिक है So the āścarya is all about soul. And one has to understand that āścarya, which you will not be able to understand. And that is the reason you have to take the authority into consideration. What you listen, what you say. That is why he said today, like Krishna.
प्रभु जी
Hmm.
जो भागवत कथा चल रहा था,
Hmm.
जो एक बांस में आके जो अपना उधर